and we're going to go into the inside. This video is just going to be talking about how to put things on your walls. You start with the background and work toward the foreground. So I'm going to start with the floor. You've got lots of different options. Think about the flooring you have in your house, or you go see at the store, or even at school. So I'm going to put in carpeting in the bedroom, that for cloth, either for carpeting or later for blankets or pillows or even curtains in your house. Just whatever fabric you have. If you don't have any fabric, you can use something else. You can use tissue paper. You can even use like plastic grocery bags, really anything. And we'll also look at ways you can draw on flooring next. But I'm going to start with my carpeting in my bedroom. So I'm going to just use the house itself to measure this. So I'm just going to lay my piece of felt right over and get it as close as I can. And I may need to trim it once I get it down in there a little bit better. So I'm just going to cut it close and go from there. I'm just going to cut right along the top of the box. You can also measure this with a ruler, whatever you have at hand. When you're cutting fabric, it's good to have kind of the sharpest scissors that you have as well. Fabric is a little bit harder to cut than, say, paper. Right. So that looks pretty good that way. So now I'm going to try it the other way. And because this cut is a lot longer, I have to go this full length of the fabric. I am going to measure this distance and mark on this one so I don't cut it really crooked, because that's possible. All right, it's 3 inches. 3 inches. And I'm going to put a mark with the pen. It's okay if that mark shows up a little bit. I could just make this the bottom. And straight when I cut. There we go. So since I do have this big mark down my fabric, and I really don't want that showing in my house, just like you wouldn't want a giant black stain on your carpet, I'm just going to put that as the bottom side when I install my carpeting. All right, there we go. Scraps out of the way. So now I'm going to test it. I'm going to make sure it fits before I put glue or anything sticky on it. I'm going to see that it fills the space. It doesn't have any bumps or pulls. All right. So when I put it in, I've got it in there now. You can see how it's actually spilling out the doorway just a little bit. So I need to cut mine down just a little bit. Again, that's why I tested it before I put glue or something sticky on it. So I'm just going to trim that a little bit. I trimmed it. I'm going to test it again before I glue it, make sure it's okay. Still just a little too big. All right, so I'm going to go back and do it again. Again, that's why I didn't put glue on it first. The walls do take up space in your house, so that's why even if you measure it from the top. It's better that you trim than make it too small. All right, I'm gonna try it again. All right, now it fits perfectly. So now I'm going to glue it. So for glue or something to stick it on the floor with, again, use what you have. You can use a glue stick. You can use hot glue or white glue. You can use tape. Just double side the tape. I think I will actually do that in this case with a piece of the thick packing tape because it'll be easy to make one nice big loop. But use what you have. I'm just going to loop it around so it makes this nice circle. I'm going to check my piece of felt. So any side that has more marks, it's going to be the bottom side. I'm going to put it right on the middle. Like that. Then stick it in. Try to get it as flat as you can because we are going to put furniture and things on this as well. So you don't want it to be too bumpy so your furniture stays. All right. And there's my carpeting. So that's carpeting. Do the same thing if you want to say do something that looks like linoleum or tile. Maybe you have tile in the bathroom. So my bathroom is pretty tiny, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my tile a color. You can color it directly with, say, crayons, colored pencil, whatever you have, or flip through magazines. See if you can find a part of a magazine that has some open space that's a color or an advertisement that's a lot of color. And you can do the exact same thing we did with the felt. So I'm going to start with this upper part of the magazine that is nice and blank. It's just a solid color. I'm going to cut out kind of as big of a piece as I can without getting any of the text in. And I know my bathroom's not very big, so I'm not too worried. Top of my house, see how well it fits. And this time I'm going to use a pencil. All right, so it's a little smaller. I'm going to try it. Okay, there you go. Okay, and if you get it really nice and tight, you don't even have to put any glue or anything down. You can just set it right on the floor. All right. So since mine's so tight, I don't have to put anything else down. I'm done. I've got flooring. So again, it's pretty dark, but it is in there. Just fit really nicely. So the last part, I'm going to actually decide to make the rest of my house with hardwood flooring. That's something that we have in my house, but maybe you have something different. Again, it's up to you if you want to have your kind of a kitchen / living room area. If you want the living room area to have one type of carpeting and the kitchen area to have a different, you're welcome to do that. It's totally up to you. The colored pencil or pen. This one is a nice dark brown colored pencil, so I'll be able to see the difference between it and the flooring. So for this one, I'm actually going to draw it on a piece of scratch cardboard so you can see it a little bit better, but you would just do exactly the same thing, but inside your house. All right, so here's my little scratch piece. All I am going to do is make it look like boards or floorboards. So I can ruler for this one, if you can get it in there. Or you can even use the edge of a piece of paper or a magazine clipping from the edge, kind of the factory cut edge. You can use that as a shorter ruler to get your lines nice and straight. I'm just going to draw a straight line. Maybe go over it a couple times. Okay. So I've got just straight lines there. We want to divide this into different planks or floorboards. And so I'm going to do that on mine. So go like this. So every other one matches up. I'm just kind of offset a little bit from each other. So that's the basis. Now I'm just going to put in a little bit of wood grain in a lighter color. So floorboards or wooden floors, and see what you can look at as well. So I'm just going to shade it just a little bit, just so I see that it's different. And that doesn't have to be perfect, but make sure your pencil is always going the same direction. If your boards are set on a vertical, your lines are going to go vertical too. They're not going to go back and forth, because usually boards are cut in one nice long grain along the length. So here you go. Now you can see it nice and close. So there's my wood flooring. It's pretty nice and subtle. Keep that. You can maybe even divide it so that you've got the floorboards go one direction in the kitchen and one the other in the living room. And that's it for flooring. Don't make it harder than it needs to be, but your whole floors should be covered in some way. Same with your walls, which is what we're going to do next. So for the walls, you can paint them. You can use newspaper, magazines, paper. So that's what I'm going to do. This tissue paper, I didn't even buy. It actually came in a package of shoes. It was, what wrapped up in it. So just see what you have in your garage, or for wrapping, maybe go check out the boxes you have for holiday stuff. You might have something, or you might have things for wrapping birthday presents. Again, use what you've got. You can also use plastic bags for this, or again, magazines, printer paper. That works just as well. You may even have some magazines or things, something, maybe you want a full mural on your wall. Use a big picture that takes up a lot of space. Or maybe there's a page, again, that's got a lot of color, or that maybe has some fun artwork like this stamp magazine. That could be your wall. You can put that directly in so it has kind of like wallpaper. That's fine too. All right, I'm going to use just some plain white tissue paper, and I'm going to put that all around the living room / kitchen area of my house. So this time, before I try to put it in, because it's a little bit harder to put this in since it's going to go vertically than it is flat like the floorboards where you can just kind of measure it off your house. So this time I'm going to measure the dimensions of my house. So I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to find out that the walls are all 5.5 inches tall. So to help me remember that, I'm going to write it down. And all my walls are 5.5 inches tall, so I don't need to separate that out into bathroom, kitchen, living room, bedroom. So next on my list here, I'm going to do measurements specifically for this back wall right here. So this wall. I'm going to say back wall and 5.5 tall. Now I'm going to see how long it is. And it is 5 3/4 long. And that's all I need. In this case, I do actually have a window in my wall too. So for this, I am going to measure as well so I can cut that window out. All right, so my window is, it is just under 1 inch down. And it window, so it should be 2 inches wide. And it is 3/4 of an inch from the wall. I'm going to say this is the left-hand side. Okay, so now I know I need to cut my tissue showing up. So I'm going to measure. I want a piece that is, measure up again. And one more time. Okay. So that is my length, and then I want it 5.5 inches tall. So I'm going to draw my first line at 5.5, connects my marks. Then I'm going to put little marks at 5.5 to get it nicely lined up. I connect my marks. Yep. And cut it out. For the walls that don't have windows, this is all you got to do. Once you've got this cut out, you can just put your glue or your tape on the back and glue it or stick it directly to the wall. If you're using tape for this, you're going to want to tape from the edges and not just one piece in the middle, because otherwise the edges are going to start curling downward. Okay. So I've got my wall piece, and remember this is the one with the window, so I am going to have to cut out the window as well. I'm going to test it real quick before I start cutting out my window hole, just to make sure it fits nicely. Cut it. Here we go. Let's try it again. Okay, yes. Now it fits really nicely. So now I've got my window, and I can use my measurements, or I can even take my pencil, trace around where the window goes. Again, cut it a little small the first time. You can always cut more off, but it's harder to add more later. I'm going to turn my house on the side so it's easier to trace that window. So I've traced my window in pencil. I'm going to cut it out carefully. And I'm going to push the scissors through and cut toward my lines, just like you did when you cut out the windows in the first place. This is tissue paper. It is delicate, so you do need to be have a gentle touch when you do these. Okay. I'm going to test it. All right, and I can see, even before I glue it, that it fits really nice. So I'm just going to glue it down, and you're going to do exactly the same thing for every wall in your house. And you can either apply the glue to your piece that you're putting in if it's stiff. This is pretty light, so I would be a little worried that I might rip it as I'm trying to get it in. So I'm going to put the glue, or same thing with your tape. Again, tape from the corners and work your way toward the middle. I'm going to put the glue directly actually on to my wall. And I'm probably going to even go back in with a little bit of tape for the corners so it really stays nicely. So I'm just going to make some little loops. I think I'm going to actually put my tape on my tissue about a centimeter wide. So that means they're only about 2 to 3 centimeters wide when I take the tape off. So they're just little pieces. Carefully set it in, and I'm going to press it in from the bottom to the top. All right. And I have a wall. So you'll just do the same thing all the way around. Once you've finished putting in the walls, the wallpaper, the flooring, then go back and put in your pictures. You do need to have a total of at least 4 pictures on the walls. It doesn't matter what rooms you put them in. They can be in all different rooms. You probably want, at least a picture or 2 in the bedroom and living room / kitchen area. Think about things that you like, maybe your mouse likes. You're welcome to draw your own pictures, or you can cut them out of advertisements or magazines. Maybe you like cars, you have a car magazine, you cut out some little pictures, just glue or tape them in there. Maybe you like food, or you think food would be appropriate for the kitchen. Same thing, go ahead and just stick those on the walls. You can also make frames for your pictures. So say you have one that the background of your picture is really similar to your wall color and you want it to stand out. So what you can do is something like that. Go, here's my picture. So this one is kind of some like floral, and actually this one has some coral and some seashells. It's really small, so it's hard to see, but it's kind of white. And I know that I'm not going to be able to see that really well. If I put it on a white wall, it's going to blend right in. So I want to make a frame. So if you have construction paper or something that's a solid color already, great. You can just stick it on, use that, and cut out around it so it's equal. If you don't, again, flip through those magazines, flip through those advertisements. Find something that's a dark color that's either black or some color that matches, and you can use that as a frame. So for this one, I'm just going to find a spot on here where I can put this, and I can even use right some areas where I'm going into the text a little bit, as long as I can use the spacing between the text as a border. And that's what I'm going to do in this case. So I can put this piece right here, and I'm going to glue it on, and then I'm just going to cut it out so it's equal all the way around, and then I can stick that right on my wall. Go. And there you go. It's got a frame. And just stick it on and you're set to go. So that is floors and walls. If you have questions or need help with more stuff, please email me. But make sure you do that in. Again, even if you are just using a pen or colored pencil to draw in some flooring, that's fine too. Just make sure you have something that it looks different from the walls. You can tell the difference between cardboard of the walls, cardboard of the flooring, or the plastic. If you used a plastic bin, that's fine too. Use what you have.